trying to reconnect. All right, and I think we are live.
Click see all.
So let's see.
STRAINWISE Consulting.
Since we had problems last time.
You know what? I don't know if I'm in the wrong spot here. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, we are live.
Oh, perfect.
Wonderful.
So if you want to say hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone. All right, so on mine, my screen's not
Let's
showing us
see
live.
how we do it here.
Might have to refresh.
So we'll go.
So how do we go from mine? We go to
STRAINWISE Consulting. Yeah. And then, oh, there it is. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to go share.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can share to your page, your profile, wherever you need.
Shared to my timeline. Awesome. Okay, now for LinkedIn. What do
See
I do
where
here?
it says is now live.
Uh-huh.
Right there, that'll give you the URL if you right click on it.
God, it's showing no. Okay, it's back.
Yeah.
That's
Alright.
yeah. It will. Obviously, I wouldn't have access if it would drop us, but it didn't drop us. Okay, so that's live, and that's live. Here we go.
Okay.
All right. I've got 12 o'clock. I've got 11:58. 2 minutes. Okay.
So where do I find it here on the?
You're right. So you'll go to the you'll go to the Facebook page,
Through the Facebook page
Mhm.
to take the link.
and and right there on the globe you'll right click.
Where?
If we go, it's up here. If you go to
Oh,
yeah,
the
yeah,
road.
yeah, it should be. You first like this. Okay. I think you might have to hold it down on your phone. I just right clicked on this, and what I'll do is I'll
From
pump
here?
into URL.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
And copy link. Tab.
There you go. That's it.
That's it.
All right, 1 minute, we'll go.
Yeah.
Put
I'm gonna just
mute. Hello, everyone in Facebook Live out there. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. We're going to start here in just under a minute. All right, here we go.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to our webinar on Thursday, February 23rd. We have a very special guest today, Gil Luxembourg. He is from Israel and is going to be talking to us about a lot of different things, sharing his own personal story, which is a remarkable and incredible story in itself. His professional experience is just unbelievable. He is truly a pioneer in the industry, and it's an honor to have you on the show today.
It's an honor to be here.
So the topic today is Israel, how the country is leading the world in medicinal cannabis research. I'm your host, of course. If you're joining us for the first time, I'll do a quick overview of STRAINWISE Consulting, why we're here, why we're in this industry, and what we can offer you, and then we'll jump right in with Gil. So a quick background of Gil, former chairman of Israel Medical Cannabis Association. He's currently a senior consultant of the Medical Cannabis Lobby at Knesset, which is the Israeli parliament. So truly one of our most distinguished guests that we've ever had on the show here. It's an international recognized organization, of course. His resume we'll go into, it's just expansive, but he is also the managing director of Marijuana Limited,
Yeah.
and presently in the Tel Aviv area there, and obviously a consultant there in business development. Among his accomplishments, he's done consulting for companies government organizations,
Yeah.
NGOs, all throughout the cannabis industry, as you'll hear. So I'll go briefly through STRAINWISE Consulting, and we'll jump back in right away with Gil. So STRAINWISE Consulting, we are the most sought-after consulting company for applications and management contracts in the cannabis industry. We did consult on the very first recreational license in the world. We have a nearly 100% success rate on applications submitted. We have 9 branded dispensaries throughout the state of Colorado, and we are expanding as we speak, and there's a lot of exciting things going on there. We have well over 100,000 square feet of cultivation space. We are, of course, among the top 5 marijuana companies in Colorado. We were recently named one of the top 50 companies with Forbes, top 50 publicly traded companies in the space, so we're very proud of that. And we also are a consultant to the very first vertically integrated Native American tribe selling cannabis in the United States. We're very proud of that. So we'll jump in here with Gil. All right, so your story, 1999, you're diagnosed with Crohn's disease.
Yeah, back at the time I was in the Army, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I lost 37 kilos in just under 4 months.
Okay.
And no medicine worked. And my gastroenterologist introduced me to cannabis. He gave me 5 rolled cigarettes for the first time in my life.
Okay.
And 2 weeks later, I gained 2 kilos back. And this was an amazing effect. I went back to my general physician to introduce him to this new medicine. And he said, well, I'm not opposing, but you know it's illegal. When I went back to my gastroenterologist in the Army, he kind of turned 2 shades wider than the wall behind him and lifted me about a foot up in the air and screamed at me, I'm trying to save your life. Why are you trying to destroy mine? I was so naive, only then did I realize that it was completely legal, and what he did in saving my life was risking his own life. This is what got me to become an advocate for medical cannabis as soon as I was discharged from the Army.
Wow. So 37 kilos, almost 80 pounds or so.
Yeah.
You're not very heavy now, so this is life-threatening.
Yeah.
I would imagine you are in a life-threatening situation at that
I
point.
was at a life-threatening situation, and he was taking into account that he might go to 20 years of jail if it is discovered that he did this.
Now, was the original intention with your doctor to try to stimulate appetite?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the point.
The point was to stop the weight loss. Okay. Not just to stimulate the appetite, but because it's an intestinal disease, there's cramps all over. And as soon as you release some of the tension over the cramps, you can digest something.
So it's a relaxation part of it.
Yeah.
And Crohn's disease is there's no known cure for it.
No.
And
there
there's
are
no
many
known
medicines to treat the symptoms, but no known cure.
And those medicines and you exhausted those first, correct?
Yes, I exhausted all of the known medicine back then. Later on, I went through 8.5 years of chemotherapy and biological treatment along with cannabis until I got to remission.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you tried everything, exhausted it, and you had a doctor willing to risk their livelihood.
Yeah.
And help you out. So what an angel that person was for you.
He's an angel.
No doubt about it. Okay. Well, excellent. Moving on here. So 99, you have the diagnosis. You start with cannabis, and then by 2000, you're having benefits yourself, and now you're already an advocate for medical cannabis in Parliament.
Yeah. Well, I went to the Parliament because I couldn't face the fact that, in one hand, this is the medicine to save my life, and on the other hand, these bureaucrats are saying it's illegal. I couldn't grasp it. So being so naive, I just went and asked them at the Ministry of Health and in the Health Committee, why not medical cannabis? Right. They came up with various different reasons of why not, but eventually some of them were smart enough to try and push the thing, and later on in 2004, we got to start the Medical Cannabis Administration in Israel and the Medical Cannabis Program. I was one of the first batches of licenses to be delivered actually to patients. I was the first patient to apply without the courts.
So when you went in originally, I know that, and we're going to get to how Israel's progressed and how much they are at the forefront of research. But in the very beginning, you're risking jail time going to Parliament, right? You're walking right in.
Yeah,
What's
I'm
that
walking
weird?
right in. I'm saying, look, guys, I'm breaking the law in order to save my life. Not only that, I'm saying that my parents are breaking the law to save my life, because when I'm hospitalized, my mom had to go to a drug dealer to get me medicine in order to go through another day of treatment.
Right.
And I risked all of that to promote this, and I advocated it very fiercely. And at some point, they just realized that the paradigm that was in their head didn't stand to reality. Now, the way I did that is I came to a parliament meeting at the Knesset and at the Committee of Health, and I spoke for about an hour and a half to the parliament members about medical cannabis and how it helps out and how we should promote it and how we are the frontiers of research with Dr. Mishulam. And then I got spasms of pain. I just changed colors. I became blue of pain. And I excused myself, asked them, I'm sorry, but I have to go treat myself. I'm going to take a joint and go take my medicine. And in front of them, knowing I'm committing an illegal act in the House of Representatives,
Right.
I went and I smoked a joint. And then when I came back, I continued from the same point without any hesitation, without looking like I was stoned or high or all these things that they were brought up to believe in.
Right.
And when they asked me about it, I told them, yes, but you haven't noticed that I smoked before I walked into the first half of the meeting. Neither have you.
Right.
And then in retrospect, it helped break the paradigm.
Incredible. So they just assumed you're okay when you walked in. You're under medication at that point. You have an episode. You have some trouble. You leave. You go get your own treatment. You come back and you're fine. So you're getting to show them right there what's happening.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And they understand it's not about looking for getting high. It's going for the symptom relief or the symptomatic relief back at the time. We didn't know that it actually promotes assisting with the medicine side of Crohn's, with the medicinal side of Crohn's treatment. We just knew it treated the symptoms,
Right.
which was good enough.
And so you were smoking originally. Have you ever tried edibles or any other type of administration?
Yes, I have. Actually, I have had the privilege of going around the world in different places and trying different products. So I have tried also edibles and dabbing and lots of different products.
Mm-hmm.
However, in Israel, the system evolved in such a way that the most commonly used product is flour.
Right.
And we're talking about the fact that edibles are not legally sold. They were brought out of the menu by the Ministry of Health, saying that it promotes use because it's also tasty.
Right.
We have a different paradigm there and a different infrastructure legally that doesn't allow for this. But right now we see an evolution, we see an opening of the Israeli market within the framework of the new revolution that's going on there, because actually the Ministry of Health is going through a revolution. They implement a total shift in the medical cannabis administration, going for opening for licensing and allowing for competition,
Right.
allowing for medical clinical trials, allowing for validations of products, allowing for export.
Wonderful. Okay, so you're in list just for your personal use right now. Yeah. Are you? What is your protocol daily right now to treat your Crohn's disease?
Well, right now I consume daily roughly a quarter ounce of cannabis in either smoke or vapor form.
Okay. And
On top of this, I consume edibles of CBD and CBG.
Okay. And as a CBD and CBG, are they long-term treatment versus the smokable flower right now at a quarter of an ounce a day? That's more immediate symptoms?
Yes.
Okay.
The smoking immediately relieves my symptoms of the cramps of the stomach and alleviates my appetite and allows me to digest just immediately after I ate. the CBD and CBG are anti-inflammatory and actually treat the ailments of the disease.
Okay.
To keep them in remission.
Wonderful. Okay, so you go in 2000. You meet with Knesset, which is Israeli Parliament. Do they have blank faces? Were they shocked? What was the
They
reaction?
were shocked. 6 parliament members actually advocated and promoted the first legislation piece of medical cannabis that was presented, and it didn't go through, but at least we saw that there were supporters.
Wonderful. Okay, so moving forward, in 2000, so from 2000 to 2003, you founded Greenleaf Party Head, or you were the head of it?
I wasn't the head of it. I was
Okay.
the head of the medical cannabis program under it.
Okay, gotcha.
The head of it was Boaz Wachter and Shlomi Sandak. They founded the party. I just joined a year after they founded it.
Wonderful.
And after 3 years together promoting the medical cannabis, I went on separate ways because we've seen that the Greenleaf Party was mostly promoting recreational cannabis and legalization, whereas I was mostly focusing on medicalization. I was really looking at the relief of my symptoms. I didn't care to get high.
Right.
I was using the same platform because this was the only one available at the time.
Wonderful.
And I thank them greatly for allowing me.
Okay, so you moved from 2000 to 2003, you're an advocate there, and then 2004 you get the license for cultivation, possession, and use of cannabis.
Yes. This was the first time the state of Israel issued the licenses. I was in the first batch of licenses. And then later on that year, I became the first patient to hold a license for a compassion club in Israel, where I grew, when I cultivated basically cannabis and gave it to other patients who couldn't afford to or who couldn't do it themselves because of their conditions.
Okay, and so walk me through the framework in 2004. Are you able to grow, are you limited by the amount of plants you have?
Yeah,
or,
I have
okay.
10 plants per patient
10
that
plants.
I'm growing for
Okay,
back then. And I'm not limited by any other means. Actually, we kind of researched and established the framework with the administration. So I went and cultivated 10 plants and then reported back what happened and what I did. And then did it in the second cycle and reported back and reported the differences between outdoors and indoors and greenhousing. And so this kind of evolved to be the first real data they had, the first real knowledge they had to base the methodology on. Later on, as the companies evolved and 8 commercial growers started growing in Israel and distributing to patients, they kept the data with themselves rather than giving it to the Ministry of Health.
did you get any pushback in the beginning? Because this has to be, if you're in the Ministry of Health and you've got a certain viewpoint that's along the lines of reefer madness that we have in the United States, and,
Yeah, it's
and
the same.
you've got this rigid sort of ideology, did they push back on you and say this is false, there's no way that people are benefiting from this?
Because we were at the forefront of research, and Professor Meshulam has already discovered the THC in 1964 in the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. They also were partners in discovery of the CBD and of the anandamide and the endocannabinoid system. They were already more open-minded to it because they knew of the research that was done and of the fact that there is an interaction between the plant and the human being that is not only for recreational purposes.
Right.
And they have seen evidence from the world, from patients' use and physicians' clinical reports.
Okay.
But the administration wasn't the problem. The public was the problem at that point. The administration allowed me, I was licensed already for cultivation, but then my parents came and told me, not here.
Right.
It took a while, it's an evolution.
For sure. I'm trying to draw the parallels between, and I'm just fascinated with it, and I know for our listeners, just understanding what's going on in Israel and what are the challenges you have. And it's interesting, we have to contrast that. We have the opposite. We have the people for it, and we have the administration, and we have challenges with the government agencies and rolling it out on these states. We have now 44 states have some type of medical program, at the very least. But it's the opposite. The general public seems to be behind it. I don't know if that's just peer-to-peer sharing of information, saying, you know what, I can see this benefit from or I have a family member that's taking it for X amount of reason.
Yeah, well, we went through the evolution. Right now, we see a lot more of the public pushing forward with it. We've seen the public advocating for recreational decriminalization as well. So we see a lot of push there as well.
Right.
But in Israel, it started out with actual doctors trying to help out patients who couldn't find any other relief.
Right.
And then it expanded from there. So we didn't have to fight the legal battle. We just had to find the legal structure and the legal framework within the existing framework, the loopholes within the loopholes to make it exist.
Right. Excellent. Okay, so in 2005, you set up the patient organization, Israel Medical Cannabis Association.
Yeah, after separating from the Greenleaf Party and after receiving the license and after starting cultivating for others, I came to a point that there was not enough knowledge.
What?
Trying to share knowledge is one thing, but when you all the knowledge you have is based on your own experience, is not that vast.
Right.
So we had to import knowledge, and the only way to really import knowledge and be acknowledged by the administration was to set up an organization. So we set up the organization. We started collaborating both with Normal and WAM at the time from the States, and with organizations in Europe, Mary Farn from the Netherlands, who were back then the licensed producer for the Netherlands government, and other researchers in the world, bringing as much knowledge as we could and as much experience as we could to Israel to share with our own patients who were just impatient about it. They were waiting for it.
Right. Excellent. Okay, so moving forward, then in 2006, so you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
Do you sleep at all? Because this is
well,
just a continual with the Israeli Ministry of Health.
Yes, in the beginning they just allowed us to be instructors to kind of help the new patients in and break them into the new medicine because nobody had experience and we were the only ones experienced. And we were learning and sharing information. As the evolution of the program went, we went through, I guess, over 2,000 patients to build the infrastructure and the method, the system behind it. Because we had to prepare ourselves to the fact that patients are telling the doctors, I feel high. And the doctor doesn't know what to do about it.
Right.
We had to break it and to make a new language. So we created the language that both the patients can refer to as effects and side effects, wanted and unwanted. And we also express the different effects physically and mentally that could actually be implemented and partake. And we instructed the patients on what to expect, not going for the Messiah model of the plant going, it will heal everything.
Yeah, the panacea.
No.
Right.
Please expect something that's realistic, so that if you don't expect the wow factor, any small benefit you get is a wow factor in itself.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you on having the foresight to understand, look, we need to create a language here. We need to understand what the patient's going through and how to talk to the doctor, because you have to give credit to you and others that are doing this, because without that, maybe the program doesn't succeed.
Maybe I'm just one link in the chain, but
yeah.
Thankfully I was there for this part, and I was there for educating the nurses later on. As soon as the administration approved our methodologies, we were part of the education system for the nurses in 2011 and 2012. So we instructed the first medical cannabis nurse class in the world to deal and to teach patients also. I must say, unfortunately, at this class, we taught the nurses how to teach patients how to smoke.
Okay.
Because this was the first means of consumption to teach a patient.
Right.
You want to vape? Okay, we'll explain how to do that. You want to cook? We'll teach you how to cook.
Right.
But the first thing you need to learn is how to consume the medicine.
A couple of things,
And Chevy was also in the room.
Yeah, we have it, and you have maybe 3,000 or 4,000 patients. Then you see chronic pain listed. We have 95,000 patients all of a sudden. So you have the market change.
In Israel right now, we're maxed at 28,000 right now. I believe that the new evolution of the legislation will allow for expansion of the market as well, because they are allowing for medicinal proving of a lot more products for a lot more ailments on the research front. So we can conduct clinical trials in Israel. As soon as a new ailment goes through a clinical trial with a medicinal product from cannabis and it's proven efficacy, it goes on the market.
Right, so you can conduct now, or they're
we can. They're already conducted.
Okay.
Right now, if I'm not mistaken, there are over 24 clinical trials running in Israel with cannabis.
Incredible. All right. So, and in 2009, moving forward with you were consulting then the Czech Republic government on their medical cannabis legislation.
Yeah, it started out with me consulting with the patient organizations there who actually invited me to speak on their behalf with their parliament because of my successes in Israel.
Right.
And after I advocated on their behalf in the parliament in the Czech Republic, the parliament itself in the Czech Republic invited me over to consult again several times until the implementation of the program in 2014.
Incredible. Wow, what a huge compliment, right? They're calling you.
It's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Even though I didn't do it for any fee, I did it for the cause.
Sure.
I think it was worthwhile.
All right, so then fast forwarding to 2010, 2013, Oval and vascular medical devices. So you're now getting experience under pharmaceutical or
medical devices.
Medical devices.
I was working in a medical devices startup in Israel under a very ingenuitive CEO who was patenting many different things for guide-wise to cross total occlusions in the heart and things like this. But then I went through all these processes with the FDA and with the CE and to know how to treat actually the standard side. And I realized that we're far off with the medical cannabis industry, because if for a medical device I need to go through all of this bureaucracy, and this device is in the human's body for 7 seconds maximum.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then it goes out, and there is nothing that remains afterwards. The stent is going over it, and that's it. You know, it's a guide wire.
Right.
And if we had to go through 2 years of bureaucracy with the FDA for this, the cannabis industry is heading in a great direction where they don't have to go through it right now in the States. But looking globally, I was saying that we have to find standards. We have to define standards.
Right.
It's patients' lives we're dealing with eventually.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so then you take that experience, which no doubt is going to be helpful to you moving forward. If anything, just the model of those industries, because the leaders in the cannabis industry are pulling from cosmetics and food and pharmaceutical and bio devices and all these things. So that is going to be tremendous, and that experience with the FDA is just vast. All right, so we move forward to 2011, 2012, and now
as I said, then we implemented
the program comes on.
The program already was online with the patients and the patient caretakers from the companies, but this was the first time that the administration adopted it and actually presented these instructions through nurses, through the administration schools,
right,
to educate the nurses on how to treat medical cannabis patients in Israel, to take a lot of the load off the doctors, knowing this nurse is licensed to deal with patients, so she knows how to treat them. I don't have to take all the responsibility on my own shoulders. I just prescribe and she does the follow-up. And this kind of helped out, release a lot of the stress, and open up the market for a lot more patients.
Wonderful. So in the United States, we have a lot of ADHD diagnoses, and a good portion of kids, particularly young boys, are put on Ritalin and Adderall and these drugs like that. Give me an idea of so what were these nurses in schools? First of all,
there were nurses who were learning in the schools for the nurses. They were in the hospitals.
Perfect. Yeah. So are there are there ADHD and all those symptoms, and is that really common in Israel?
It is
as well?
common in Israel as
Okay.
well, and these symptoms are not treated by cannabis in Israel.
Okay.
Israel is very strict with its cannabis program, where defining the symptoms are in a very strict way. Even as a pain patient, for example, you have to go through narcotics first, and then a
Right.
year in the pain clinic before the pain doctor is allowed to prescribe you with cannabis.
Right. And we've had some states come online and do that as well. Others not. It's very, very rare in the United States to
It's
have
very
that,
rare, and
where
I
you
don't
have to
believe in
exhaust it.
this method. I don't believe.
Mhm.
Listen, in the past, as you say, we heard about all of this gateway theory, where you where when you tried cannabis, eventually it will lead you to narcotics.